All right, guys, let's do it. So today we're going to hop on to something called Google Colab. And what that is a Jupyter notebook that is hosted in the ether, in the cloud via Google. And what is a Jupyter notebook? Well, a Jupyter notebook is essentially a way to execute Python scripts, but in a much easier way to understand because you have each block or like a script broken up into individual parts. So that way you can execute one part without needing to execute the entire thing, which makes it much easier to split your program up into small little bits and test them bit by bit, knowing the output. And that is very helpful when you are building. And it's much easier to add notes, and it kind of looks like a journal. So they're either usually called like a Jupyter Notebook or a Jupyter Lab. And that's hosted with Google Colab. And it's pretty sick. So let's hop in and just kind of do something very, very basic of just getting information from somewhere on the internet. And we're going to put it into our Google Colab Jupyter Notebook script, which is accessible if you have an email. So all you need to do is you go to colab.research.google.com, and it's going to ask you, well, would you like to open up an old notebook or a new notebook? We're going to open up a new one, and we'll call this first YouTube video, Jupyter Junkie. Cool. So, let's just do something easy. We're going to get some information from Yahoo Finance, which is we're going to first need to, I guess, install that package if we want to use it. So there's this wonderful way of accessing the underlying computer of just kind of using a exclamation mark in front of the command of what you're trying to do. And instead of executing Python code, it's going to execute code in like Bash. So we will say pip install Yahoo Finance. And notice, so it's loading, and it's going to go grab that package, and it's going to install this, because essentially this Google Colab Cloud Jupyter thing is really a virtual machine that is executing. And you need to load in all of the packages that you want to use before you can get started. So now we have yfinance. So we can even take a look at it. I guess we would need to import, right? And within Python and Jupyter, there's a lot of different ways that we can look and explore an object. So let's say that you get an API and you don't know how to use it. You could go through Google, and you can look at the developer docs, developer.google.com, and I'm sure you'll find something there. However, the other thing that you can do, for example, is you can do question mark, and that will give you some information. So let's look at one other one that might be a little bit more helpful for us right here, and that's going to be taking the directory of Yahoo Finance, this object. So we notice that we have a few we have a few functions that we have access to. So I didn't actually script this before, as you can probably tell, but we're just going to go along with it. So in the directory of Yahoo Finance, or we're exploring the object essentially now, we see that we have this function called download. Now, if we want to explore how to use that a little bit more, we can explore it. So notice I forget if you can do just one question mark. Nah, I guess, well, one or two, and it will pop up with this like sidebar of help. So here is the information of how to call this function. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more readable. We might not need all of these because it looks a little bit long. Notice that these are all they are all default values. So instead of using these default values, if we can instead, we'll keep this as a reference, but instead we're going to start to plug this in. Say we want Apple stock, and say if we, we want to do our start period, we're like, okay, well, how do we type that in? Well, we did just come over here and look up the documentation. So beautiful. Let's just literally copy and paste. Copy and paste. Right? We could probably figure it out from here. So if that was 2020, let's look at 2021. And I'm not sure the rest of that is really needed except for interval. So let's take a look. Interval of 1 day. Cool. And let's download data. Voila. So let's just pause here and just see like how cool this is. I know it's very, very simple if you are a programmer and you are visiting this page of what we're doing, but just trying to show people who are not as familiar what is possible. So we went to Google that you can just log in with your email in order to access this account. It's free for everybody. It is essentially a Python computer that you can execute and you can do programming on your own in the cloud. Now, we started off by downloading, essentially, there's a repository or a bunch of apps, you can say, or packages that are available for other programmers to use. And essentially all programmers are standing on the shoulders of giants of those who were here before. And we don't like to redo something that's already been done. If there's already a package that can do it, we should use it. And so Yahoo Finance has an easy way of accessing data from the cloud within the API servers, right? And so what we want to do is take this Python package of Yahoo Finance, we're going to download it, or we're just going to grab it, and we're going to put it into our Google Colab file by just doing pip install yfinance. And then after it's installed on the computer, for this script, in a way, we're going to have to import it. So as we import it, we're going to import yfinance as yf, so we can rename it as we're doing it. Then we explore the object. We found a function that is callable. We referred to the documents that we essentially got to pop up by doing question marks or using dir and then parentheses of the object that you're looking at. We created, or not created, but we observed what a query or a way of using this API package might look like, and then we actually activated it. So, or we ran the function. So just to kind of add, let's say that we casted all of this into a data frame. Right, and now we can look at our data frame, or let's say if we want to grab our data frame and we want to grab our adjusted close and we wanted to grab our volume. Boom. So this is the building blocks for a lot more to come. This is really just gathering data. After we gather data, we might want to compute or figure out what are our indicators in order to buy or sell, let's say, a stock, or pretty much we take in data, we do something with it, and then we make a decision. And so that framework can be used in all sorts of applications throughout many different industries, really. So we'll leave it at that for this video. If you did stick along with me for this, thank you very much, because I know it might have been a little bit wordy as a first time and non-scripted, but thank you so much. Yeah, if you like this, of course, hit the little like button or follow and subscribe, and I will make a lot more videos to come. Let's go.